आम आदमी पार्टी के नंबर 2 अरविंद केजरीवाल के सबसे करीबी सहयोगी मनीष सिसोदिया अरेस्ट हो चुके हैं। वो अरेस्ट कल हुआ, लेकिन आज सवाल ये उठता है कि what were the nature of evidence that the Central Bureau of Investigation had to arrest Manish Sisodia. With me is Ashish, who tracks the agencies very closely, and he'll give you the reason why the agencies have gone ahead with this arrest. Ashish, the Central Bureau of Investigation had carried out searches at his home. There were searches and raids carried out in his office. One round of investigation had already happened, and in the second round of questioning, he is arrested. What is the nature of evidence that the CBI has?
So, Maria, one can't deny it's a big arrest. And central agency, if they had to lay hand on a deputy chief minister of a state where, you know, the head of the state, or you can say the Aam Aadmi Party is representing the government in Delhi, and we all know that Aam Aadmi Party and BJP is at loggerheads with each other. So they were basically waiting for substantial evidence against Manish Sisodia before they lay hands on him.
Yes.
Now, obviously, there was an FIR, he's accused number 1. But if you see, CBI has made minimal arrests. Enforcement Directorate had made number of arrests. Around 8-9 people were arrested by ED. But going back to why Manish Sisodia has been arrested, what sort of evidence that CBI has, I've been speaking to my sources both in CBI and ED. And if you see the number of charge sheets, the number of remand notes that have come out in open till now, you will find out that there is a criminal conspiracy which was hatched. Now, what this criminal conspiracy was and why Manish Sisodia is involved into this, that is the big question. Here the question is, was Manish Sisodia doing something which was illegal in nature? The answer is yes, that is what the CBI claims. What is that illegal point that the CBI and the Enforcement Directorate is looking at?
Okay, before we go into what is the illegality, I want to understand, and perhaps the viewers will also have this question. This is the Delhi liquor policy, which was withdrawn because the Aam Aadmi Party accepted, the Delhi government accepted that there were evident flaws in it, and it was leading to some loss to the exchequer. Now there are two investigating agencies that you're talking about, CBI and ED. What is the role of these two agencies, and what have they found out together till now?
So CBI works under the Prevention of Corruption Act. So they try and find out if there is any wrongdoing or illegal activity by a public servant. Secondly, the Enforcement Directorate works under the Prevention of Money Laundering Act. So what they do is they try and find out if any sort of laundering has happened or illegal gain. So there is a scheduled offence under the Prevention of Money Laundering Act, which basically defines various various illegal activities which come under the Prevention of Money Laundering Act. Now, having said that, one has to go back what happened. Now, if you see, there are two important people who have given evidence, or you can say statements, before the CBI as well as the Enforcement Directorate. Who are these people? One is C. Arvind. He is from the Danix cadre. He was the secretary of Manish Sisodia. And second is R.F. Gopi Krishna.
Who is R.F. Gopi Krishnan?
The former excise commissioner of Delhi.
Okay.
Now, if you see what...
So these two people, R.F. Gopi Krishnan and the other person you said?
C. Arvind.
C. Arvind. They are in the custody of the CBI.
Yeah. So they are basically in the... No, they're not in the custody. They came before CBI and gave statement.
Okay.
What does the statement say? In fact, they have given statement even before the Enforcement Directorate. What does the statement say? The statement says that when it comes to giving the entire wholesale trade into private hands and increasing the margin to 12%, this did not exist anywhere. This did not exist at the time of the expert committee report. This did not exist even at the time of GOM. This did not exist even at the time of cabinet approval. Suddenly, one day, Manish Sisodia calls up C. Arvind at the house of Arvind Kejriwal, and he is directed to do so. So there is something which is wrong. There is, the policy was drafted where the percentage should be 5% of the profit margin for wholesale trade. it was substantially increased to 12%.
And this alleged profit,
Yeah.
increase was supposed to go to the coffer of the Delhi government or Aam Aadmi Party's
No,
coffers?
so obviously the wholesaler. So the money has gone into the trade has gone into the private hands.
Okay.
The allegation by CBI is that this was done at the behest of the request or the demand of the South lobby. Now, if you see the South...
Before we go to the South lobby,
Yeah.
there is a piece of document that we have here. What exactly is this and why is this being seen as an evidence?
So, this is a part of the charge sheet that has been filed in the court. The allegation against Manish Sisodia is that there is some sort of destruction of evidence which has happened.
Okay,
Now, if you see this, on the 19th of August, the FIR is registered.
that's right.
On the 20th August, you see, on one day, same mobile number, 3 handsets. What is the logic? Difficult to understand. I and you won't do this.
Yes.
If you go to another number, in a span of from the month of July to September, October, around 2.5 months, 3 months, 7 handsets have been used. On one day, 5/9/2022, 5/9/2022.
Two different handsets.
2 different handsets are being used in one day. Similarly, if you see on the 12th, 12/9/2022, 12/9/2022, 2 handsets being used. So there is something wrong somewhere. Even in this, if you see this one as well, you see the last one as well, 7th, 8th and 9th. 7th month, 8th month and 9th month. Every month the phone handset is being changed. So in totality, if you see,
And how do we know that all these numbers were in the name of Manish Sisodia?
No, it's a government document. It's filed in the court of law. So it is, there is no denying of it because these are based on facts.
Okay.
So these numbers were registered in the name of Manish Sisodia, 4 numbers. But there is nothing wrong in holding 4 numbers. But what leaves everybody perplexed and surprised is why 18 handsets have been used in a span of around 7-8 months, in a span of around 2.5, 3 months. And this has basically happened only after the CBI registered an FIR.
Okay. Now the question is, the CBI has already filed 2 charge sheets in this case.
CBI has filed 1 charge sheet
One
and
charge
one supplementary
Yes.
charge sheet.
So, but in both these charge sheets, one charge sheet and one supplementary charge sheet, what is Manish Sisodia's crime that has been registered in that?
No,
As per the charge, what is the charge against him?
Manish Sisodia's charges will be filed in the supplementary charge sheet because he has been arrested now.
Okay.
So legally speaking, any charge sheet against somebody will be filed only once he is arrested. Then only you can file the charges against that person.
Okay, so basically the reason for this arrest, as I get from you is, and you have been speaking to several officers, that there has been some kind of destruction of evidence. That is the reason why the investigating agency feels that if he continues to stay outside, he may be involved in similar kind of destruction of other evidence, which is very important in the entire investigation. And the second point, Ashish?
The second point is about, R.F. Gopi Krishna coming before the investigative agency and telling the investigative agency that there were various complaints of cartelization.
Okay.
Now, we all know that there is one major case of cartelization where Indo Spirits was given a major business. Now, Indo Spirits was given the wholesale trade of Pernod Ricard. This is a very big company into liquor businesses. Indo Spirits was owned by Samir Mahendru. Samir Mahendru and wife Gitika Mahendru have been blacklisted by the Delhi government itself, the excise department.
After the case?
In fact, they were before.
Okay, they were before.
So they turned a blind eye and still gave the contract to them.
Okay.
Now, despite the complaints of cartelization, Manish Sisodia chose to ignore and he directed the excise commissioner, no, go and give
To Samir
the contract to Samir Mahendru.
Fine.
So these are areas of concern. Now, interestingly,
So both these men that you're talking about, they have turned approvers or they have just recorded statements?
No, these are statements before the CBI.
These
And most importantly, one of them, Dinesh Arora, who was supposed to be a very close aide of Manish Sisodia till one point in time, he has spilled the beans and he's talked about how money from the south was basically coming to Delhi and subsequently it was going to Goa for elections. So Hawala channels were used where huge amount of cash came and the bribery charges of almost 100 crore rupees. So these are various details which have come out. Now what have been told, Maria, by my sources in the CBI is that one file is missing. Now, if you remember, in the recent past, the CBI team reached the office of Manish Sisodia, where Manish Sisodia cried that there is a raid, and the CBI said, no, it's not a raid. We've just gone to find one file. This file is missing. This file is basically related to the orders passed, when there was these abrupt orders which were passed. This file is related to these abrupt orders. This file is missing, and on being asked during the questioning, my sources tell me he had no answer on where that file is.
So where there is one file that is missing, if you look at the call records, it is about changing multiple sets while using the same number, and there is an evidence of destruction of evidence. That is the reason why Manish Sisodia, Delhi's Deputy Chief Minister, someone who holds 18 portfolios, has been arrested. But politically speaking, Ashish, this is playing out in the political domain as well, and we have seen how there has been a back and forth between the two sides. There is enough evidence according to the investigating agencies. So far as Satyendra Jain's arrest was concerned, the reason that the BJP, the Aam Aadmi Party went all out was that they said that this is linked to Himachal elections. And Mr. Jain was supposed to be the in charge of the state of Himachal for the Aam Aadmi Party. There are no elections that are happening, and in none of the states going ahead, there is a direct contest that's happening between the BJP and the Aam Aadmi Party. So the timing, can there be a question on the timing?
Not really, because I don't see, any state where Aam Aadmi Party is at loggerheads with the Bharatiya Janata Party. We can say that these are politically influenced arrests or politically influenced investigations. But Mara, whatever it may be, these cases have to stand in the court of law on their own legs. You can't deny that.
Yes,
the judge does not basically recognize from which political party you are.
Yes. So then in that case, in case of Satyendra Jain, who is arrested in another case, he is languishing in jail for another case, is in jail for almost like a year now, and that
almost 8-9 months.
8-9 months, and that is because the court has, yes.
Yeah, so if you see what was the charges against Satyendra Jain. Satyendra Jain basically laundered money. There was some cash that was generated. He gave that cash to certain companies in Bengal, where they were basically entry operators who provided entries. That money was brought to companies which were owned and controlled by Satyendra Jain and his family members and his close relatives. And with that, huge chunk of land in the outskirts of Delhi was basically purchased. The allegation was that because he was occupying a portfolio of the urban development minister, he knew what the policy would come, and then he could make pecuniary benefits out of this.
Okay. So now tell me about this case. If we come back to the excise policy, how many arrests have been made so far?
So I believe this is the 10th arrest in totality if you combine both CBI and ED together.
And out of these 10, all these 10 men are in jail right now?
Yes, no one has been granted bail. Only Sarath Reddy got a bail because one of their, and that was only for 14-15 days. That was because one of their relatives expired. So because of that, they got a 14-day bail.
And Vijay Nair is still in jail?
He's still in jail. Samendra Mahendra is still in jail.
Yes. And let's not forget, ladies and gentlemen, that as far as the conviction rate is concerned, CBI has a conviction rate of almost 99%, Ashish?
Yes. In fact, even if you see the Enforcement Directorate, they're doing a good job in the assets that have been attached in the past. If you see the difference, it's mammoth. More than 1 lakh crore rupees of assets have been attached during the the NDS tenure. And if you see the assets that have been attached during the UPA tenure, it's like it's hardly any money.
Okay. Now talking about where next is this case heading, you were talking about the South Lobby. What is it, the South Lobby?
So the allegation is that K. Kavita was basically heading the South Lobby. People close to her were basically getting the deals done. Interestingly, there is a member of parliament called Magunta Srinivasulu Reddy. His son Raghav Magunta has already been arrested by the Enforcement Directorate. The allegation is basically that whatever changed in the liquor policy for the benefit was basically the South Lobby wanted those benefits, and that is why these abrupt changes were done. And against that abrupt changes, 100 crore rupee bribery charge is on the Aam Aadmi Party. And Enforcement Directorate and CBI have been able to track down some portion of that money, which is ultimately leading to Goa elections. The money was distributed in cash. In fact, I remember I was speaking to one of the officers and he told me that there's a lady called Manaswini who was working for a event management company. She basically gave a statement before the Enforcement Directorate saying that huge amount of cash was given to her to give to people who were basically campaigning for Aam Aadmi Party during Goa elections. So they have been able to track down the money. They have been able to track down the destruction of evidence. They have been able to track down various other evidence. They have statements with them, and that is why they are
So
basically.
you are of the opinion that this is a watertight case, and
certainly, yeah.
now CBI's focus is shifting towards the South lobby, and the chartered accountant of K. Kavita has already been arrested, and there are raids that were conducted in Hyderabad and in other parts as well.
In Telangana, a number of locations were raided. Yeah.
Okay. So the details that are coming from Ashish is that the CBI is looking at creating a watertight case, and they say they have multiple evidence. The primary reason why Mr. Sisodia, who is accused number 1 in the FIR, has been arrested is that there have been evidence of destruction of evidence, and also of statements that have been recorded by those who have been very close to Mr. Sisodia, all of them highlighting about his alleged involvement in some kind of a larger conspiracy. A story we'll continue to track very closely. Thanks so much for watching. Thanks from Ashish and me.